for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Alright, a character-based run. I know my previous New Vegas run is a little bottomite can be considered one, but they already exist in the game. Instead, let's try and add in someone from beyond Fallout, perhaps beyond the stars? I really hope I shouldn't have to explain who Buzz Lightyear is, the daring space ranger from the Toy Story franchise. I'll go into the ins and outs of this run as we go along, so let's head to infinity and beyond, and see if you can beat Fallout New Vegas as Buzz Lightyear. Starting as always from Doc Mitchell's, he graciously rescues me after my ship must have crash landed outside Goodsprings. I give myself an appropriate, legally distinct name of Neil Darkhour before trying to sculpt the face. The face is weird, I know, but I can at least get the color mostly right, and we'll only see the back of it for most of it. Buzz doesn't actually show any hair. He wears like a sort of balaclava or something under his visor. So to replicate that, I give him a flat haircut that covers most of his forehead and color it purple to match. He does have a little facial hair, but unfortunately there's no squiggle option. When picking special stats, I prioritize perception for the boost to energy weapon skill, and agility since Buzz is very quick on his feet in the movies. I don't drain any stats too much, since none felt appropriate to do so. In terms of tag skills, energy weapons are obvious, and to complement I go with science and repair. Need knowledge of both if I'm to repair my ship after all. As for traits, good-natured fit the best, and wild wasteland I also take, for one particular reason you've probably already guessed. Going along with good-natured, I decide for this run I won't take anything marked as stolen, or take any chems to play along. But Doc is a kind soul in return and offers up his belongings for me to take. Leaving his house, my first objective is to recalibrate my laser. And fortunately, Chet is selling a GRA laser pistol, which I snap up along with some of the mods for it. One-handed laser weapons are what will be my main method of attack after all. I have some better options in mind, but this is a good start. While teaching me how to use it, Sunny has an interesting way of holstering her gun, but it doesn't seem to hinder her. Wanting to help a friend in need, I agree to help Ringo in the town with the powder ganger problem, but the only person I can really convince is Chet with a barter magazine, and Doc to give a few more stim packs. I'm fine not recruiting Easy Stinky Pete. Don't think we'd get along. Interestingly, I choose to talk to Victor and can ask him to help, which means he says yes. More on this later. Anyway, the trio of me, Sonny, who finally figured out how a gun is meant to be held, and Mr. Star then confront the gangers heading in, as I do shoot lasers and fight evil. The flying we'll get to soon. After the last ganger falls, I level up and take Swift Learner, and then beginning heading out for the most important of items, my spacesuit. Except before I leave, I go and grab the snow globe from the graveyard, and speak to Victor as he did not join the fight. Turns out by asking him for help, Mr. House will temporarily shut Victor down when the fight starts, and you can figure this out afterwards by passing a 25 science check. I did know about this beforehand, but just wanted to show it off, I guess. Victor must have felt pretty bad about this, as he then ambushed me inside Goodsprings cave. Didn't know he could come in here. Moving on down the road, I donned a cowboy hat in memory of a lost good friend, hoping to see him again someday. I mostly ignore everything along said way, including Prim and Mojave Outpost, as aside from the Ghost Town gunfight quest in Goodsprings, I want to look the part before making any more progress. Only thing really worth mentioning in words was the scripted fight between the merchant caravan being ambushed by the Legion. Itself was then ambushed and attacked by a group of Night Stalkers attracted by the gunfire. Passing by Novak, I briefly stay to help the McBrides with their cattle problem by killing the hostile Nightkin at midnight, and then proceed up the road to the Repcon rocket site. There were some ghouls by the ridge which aren't always there in my experience, and a glowing one among them made things significantly harder, especially since I'm still without my suit. Once at Repcon, I enter through the back door for no real reason. Here all the ghouls are normal ones, and in the many dead bright followers have plenty of energy cells on them. When I get to the sane ghouls upstairs, I eagerly agree to help them, as they all too wish to blast off to space. With that goal in mind, I come in peace to the Nightkin leader Davison, and agree to help him find the stealth boys he and his kind are searching for. Despite my helpful intentions, I ignore Harlan's demand to find his ghoul friend in the facility, and instead sneak by him to find the terminal saying the stealth boys aren't there, and then sneak out without harming him. Davison agrees to leave after telling him the truth, and I can now venture further into the facility to finally attain my prized spacesuit. The Repcon spacesuit and helmet are really good for light armor, especially early on, with a combined 14 damage resistance. Curiously, I speak to Chris with the intercom down here, and get some unique dialogue from him scolding me for exploring. After that, Jason tasks me with finding the components needed to repair their ships for takeoff, which is an easy jog down the road to Mr. Radical's body to grab the igniting agent, and to the Gibson scrapyard for the flight controls. When I make it back, however, I hear gunshots coming from the rocket bay. Turns out Harlan teleported over like he's meant to do for this part of the quest, but he's still hostile and begins attacking the Pharaoh ghouls, who then kill him. Anyway, everything is set up for the launch, and with the help of a science magazine, can help the ghouls lift off and fall with style to the great beyond. This also boosts me to level 4, and I take the educated perk. With the primary side task of this run completed, I turn back to the places I skipped over, starting with Prim. Where I can land shots, the convicts go down easily enough, as the GRA energy pistol is not bad, especially when I can keep it in max condition. The convict leader attempts to melt me into a pile of plastic, but I am not a toy, so he fails. The last convict appears after I take a quick nap, so not the best spatial awareness that he didn't catch me sleeping. With that, local law enforcement has been rescued, and then I immediately get him fired by promoting Prim Slim as sheriff. Guess Beagle isn't Slim's favorite deputy. Retracing my steps further down the road, I turn the jackals at the rest stop into dust bunnies, and then punch the tiny mantises, which in turn gets me to level 6, and the perk this time is Light Touch. The spacesuit is classified as light armor, so better crit chance is always appreciated. Further up the road, and I melt the rad scorpions at the gas station. For no real reason except to flex, I then beat the last one to death with my bare fists. I thought about prioritizing unarmed since Buzz ain't afraid to throw hands, but couldn't think of a suitable unarmed weapon, so I didn't bother much. While at Mojave Outpost, I get to helping Ranger Jackson and Ghost with their respective quests, and clean Lacey of her caps. I need a lot to afford the weapon I have in mind, but we'll get there soon. If ants extermination was an issue for a Ranger of the Galactic Alliance, I would be putting the organization to shame. Halfway to Nipton, and I swear the jackals that spawn here are always bugged for me. What I mean is, sometimes the game spawns 2 sets of jackal raiders. The first group, who only have melee weapons, and get lasered to death attempting to run across the open ground to get me. Then only 1 member is present on the right side of the road, which is how it's meant to be, and can be taken down by himself. But lastly, what I believe are the intended jackals, spawn behind the building and are meant to ambush you, but by staying on the right side, they don't move, even when I atomize them right in front of each other. When in Nipton, I don't kill anyone, not Sonic, or Boxcars, or Volpace, the latter of which I get the XP crumbs for doing his bidding, of warning of the oncoming furry invasion, as I again come in peace. This also extends to Malcolm Holmes, who attempts to rush me after talking with Volpace, but I fast travel away before that can happen. After handing in all the quests at the outpost, I traveled up to Novak and head towards the Strip. The first thing I mentioned was this merchant, who I nearly believed opened fire on me as I approached, but was just shooting at a mole rat instead. I cleaned hover caps with the loot that I had, since any regular ammo and chems I picked up are essentially just free caps. Next, I managed to get real close to the raiders, who wait behind the sign with a grenade launcher via stealth, and the leader then killed both of his mates with said launcher, and was promptly then put down. Lastly, I make good on defending an innocent by providing fire support to this prospector, from the hordes of fire ants in the dry bed. I was making my way over to the Eldorado substation, since I believe this is a good run to align with Mr. House for, given his future desire to send mankind to the stars, after all. I only mark it for now, but that doesn't stop the NCR sergeant from deserting his post to chase me. Funnily enough, I skipped past Boulder City, but stopped briefly to tease Private Kowalski to also give chase. So now I have 3 individuals chasing me: the NCR sergeant, Kowalski, and Malcolm. Only 2 of them ended up catching me in this run, so take guesses on who didn't get me going forward. Going back, I skipped past Boulder to head to Hoover Dam, like I said, and that was to pick up the snow globe to hand in to Jane later for 2,000 caps. Nothing else occurred heading to Freeside, other than selling loot to each vendor I came across. I stopped and took the snow globe at the Followers Fort, and then paid the Kings a visit. I agreed to help them out as GI Blues gives good XP. I don't immediately shoot Oris and walk with him down the Freeside Strip. Unfortunately, I can't pass any of the skill checks to out him, and I don't want to walk away from this quest, so I just laser the paid goons in the eyes and leg it back to the king. Pandemonium then ensues as they actually start following me and start fighting the Kings. They didn't follow me inside the building, so I went back out to watch the melee. I tried going back in, only for my weapon to pull out the New Vegas special and glitch out. Using VATS, the laser worked, but only in VATS. Fortunately, I only had to unequip and re-equip the pistol, and it worked again. After the scuffle, I looked around for what happened to Oris. My guess is that he aggroed onto one of the Securitrons at the gate and actually killed one of them before dying. I handed the task to the king, and after a brief trip back to the old Mormon fort to inquire what I really came to him for, that being Slinky to accompany me on this voyage. Because of Oris's actions, he killed the Securitron that is meant to approach you for the credit check, but I can still loot the key off the dead robot and get it that way by quick dashing through. As said, House is who I'm signing with, and I meet with him immediately. After that, I passively enter the tops and lay eyes on Benny, which finishes the They Went That Away quest and levels me to level 8, and I take toughness. Still trying to keep within the peaceful mindset though, I opt to talk with Benny and agree to his meeting, on top of convincing him to pay me for the chip delivery, by the way. That is something you can do with the barter skill. Only then I abruptly leave the room as soon as I enter, causing Benny to flee, and sidesteps having to fight anyone in the casino. Before leaving Vegas, I decide to finish up on that quest for the Kings, but not in the way you'd think. Buzz is a man of action, not so much chatter, and as such I opt to complete the quest by siding with the Kings against the NCR. In all honesty, I forgot to talk to Julie Farkas to unlock the peaceful outcome, but didn't want to reload. In the end though, this will save the Kings from being wiped out by Mr. House in the endgame credits. So silver lining, I guess? In any case, I leave the Kings right after handing it in, as I have no use for the King's one favor this time around. With business concluded, I had plenty of caps in the ham piggy bank, and traveled back to Novak to get my main weapon for the rest of the run. All I have to do is enter the Rex the Dinosaur and buy it off Cliff, the weapon being the MF Hyperbreeder Alpha, the unique recharger pistol from the GRA DLC. Its fast fire and red laser beam made it ideal for replicating the arm laser. I knew I had to get it before starting this run. Having this as my primary weapon also frees up needing to buy any ammo, so plenty more to spare for healing supplies and repairs. Speaking of appropriate weapons, I decided completing my arsenal was my next task. That in mind, if you are slightly upset by me siding against the NCR in the King's Quest, boy, you're not gonna like this. I procured the Euclid Sea Finder from that kid at Freeside and thought it's only fitting for a spaceman to have some space firepower. With that, it's a short jog to Helios 1 to acquire some space lasers.
No readout yet if the air is breathable, and there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Oh, yeah!
For reference, I didn't kill Fantastic. I was only collecting solar panel parts for the boomers later, when I should spot a figure running through the arrays. Turns out Private Kowalski was closer to the plant when I fast traveled to it and ran through the facility to get me. Trying to stay ahead of him led to my first death, as I wasn't watching my health fighting the turrets and robots in the first room. Restarting, I play cautiously and destroy them. Only the time taken allows for Kowalski to catch up and scold me for shooting the memorial. I apologize, and we part ways. The remaining robots in the facility don't pose much threat, and now I briefly tap into my inner Emperor Zurg by calling down the space lasers on the NCR outside the plant. I do hit level 10, however, and figure now's a good time to take the Fight the Power perk for added damage against the major factions of the NCR, Legion, and Brotherhood. Only one weapon left, and it's the one I teased by taking Wild Wasteland, that of course being the Alien Blaster. Only fitting a Space Ranger having a laser gun literally from space. Heading north past Horowitz Farmstead, we can find said aliens hanging out around the campfire, no doubt enjoying some delicious hot schmoes. I open engagement by using my newly acquired space lasers, before switching out to the Hyperbreeder. When it comes down to just the captain, he's saved in the nick of time by the game crashing. Next go around, and it's Slinky that gets the kill, but is knocked down by the crew. All is well this time, and now Buzz Lightyear can really come to the rescue. Since I was in the northern part of the map, my first port of call was to head over to Jacobstown to see about getting Slinky a replacement spring. While I'm here, I also agree to help with the Nightkin cure and drive off the mercenaries harassing the town, the latter of which becomes a battle as I'm not willing to pay off those who wish to do harm to others, even super mutants. The mercs say they won't attack, but they do want to go the mutants in order to wipe them out, so it is they who got to go. Needless to say, they all go down easily, and now the NCR hates me even more. Before I leave me, Slinky and Lily tag along to retrieve the chewed up stealth boy and progress Dr. Henry's research, after having to do away with Keen as well, unfortunately. Dealing with the mutants at Jacobstown did then remind me of something, that being my missing friend, Woody. With that in mind, it's a trip over to Black Mountain to free him from Tabitha's grasp. Fighting my way up the path is a little tricky. A Hyperbreeder isn't the most pinpoint accurate weapon in the world, but the high fire rate means plenty of shots do land and manage to put the super mutant brutes out of their misery. The space laser then gets another use halfway up, which left these guys crippled enough to be killed. Most of the mutants are packing heavy incinerators, which don't do much since, again, I am very certain I or Slinky are not toys. I give the alien blaster another use to take out the Nightkin sniper, and then can finally add Woody to the crew, even if he's partially melted. But he does have a Spanish mode. To her credit, Tabitha is able to take 3 headshots from the alien blaster before being felled by my fists, and now I got 2 friends in me for the road ahead. To make good on that friendship, I then start Woody's companion quest. First destination is Andy's house in Novak, to see he's grown up into a retired NCR Ranger with a chip on his shoulder. For what it's worth, I also learned the Ranger takedown while I'm here, and then Woody opens up about his past life in Mexico. Once we're done patiently listening like a good friend, we hike back over to Old Lady Gibson to purchase Ray's brain from her. Want a piece of knowledge you wish you never learned? I got one by asking how she met Dr. Henry.
He and I had joined up with the same caravan. Add in a lot of whiskey and, well, let's just say we got to know each other.
That's right, Old Lady Gibson banged Dr. Henry. Why the fuck did I write that? Moving on over to Camp McCarran, before the NCR 3-day warning runs out, I talk with Corporal Sterling to get Woody to chat again, in which he gets to how he damaged his plastic skin. Another reason for being at McCarran was to fix my NCR rep, since I did realize being hated by them didn't really make for a good roleplay. So to prove my good nature, I took up quests from Major Daughtry and Colonel Shu to fight the Fiends. Oh, and also rescue Ranger Esteban's corpse for Private Morales. First attempt in body retrieval, and the fiends blast me to bits in second. Second attempt, and I figure standing around in the open isn't a good strategy, and then successfully kill the attacking fiends and retrieve Esteban's body. Keeping this fiend-killing mood, I mosey on over to kill each of the fiend leaders for their bounties. Javert crew, but not him himself, gets cooked by the rangefinder and a frankly awesome kill cam shot. Unfortunately, Nephi is shortly after ashified, so no full bounty for his head. Not wanting to repeat that, I try punching Violet, but instead irony happens as Slinky Dog kills the crazy dog lady. And finally, Cook succumbs to a fatal bullet to the back of the head from Woody's revolver, thankfully head intact. This pushes me to level 14, and finesse is the perk I take. One final fiend to go, and that's Motor Runner. Outside Vault 3, the Hyper Breeder again lacks precision at hitting the fiends, but once inside, in the close quarters environment, the gun absolutely thrives. In fact, my group is much better close up, less ground for Slinky to run to and for Woody to shoot. Towards the back of the vault, I encounter this fiend, who is too engaged with his push-up routine to fight back. Never seen fiends doing exercise before. Regardless, the slaves are freed, and I detour up to convince Ranger Anders to let me take care of Motor Runner and return to base. Into the maintenance wing and jumping a few more random fiends to get to our target. The fight is extremely one-note, as I took out his hounds while Slinky knocked Motor Runner down and Woody quick-fired him into an early grave. I remembered to take his helmet and hand it in this time, along with the soggy heads of the 3 other leaders, getting me to Merciful Thug Rep, so it's a start. After that business, I then wrap up Slinky's quest by having Doc Henry perform the part replacement surgery. To complete Woody's quest, we just have one last person to meet, and that be Loyal over at Nellis, so it's off to meet the Boomers. I know I'm massively detouring around pursuing the main quest, but that means I can't play New Vegas more, and I'll never complain about that. Anyway, running into the asteroid bombardment, Slinky stays close to me while Woody has some difficulties avoiding the fire at the end, but we did better than I was expecting. Once inside the gate, I agree to help him find the man we came for, retrieve the sonic emitter for the generator room, and offer to help prepare the panels for him too. When we step outside, Woody opens up completely about why he had walked away from his cowboy past, but by the power of friendship he found in me, is motivated to return to his rootin' tootin' roots, and puts on the hat once more. Yeehaw, partner! While we're here, I amuse myself while Pete flaps his gums about the Boomer history, and then I go to the generator room. Here I noticed I forgot one panel from Helios 1 earlier, but do have a repair magazine to complete the last one. Once that's done, it's a simple 2-button prompts to get the emitter running, and by proxy the power back on, as well as level 16, max out science for a single reason much later, and the meltdown perk. This then opens up the final part to raise the bomber, even though I only have liked reputation. I always thought you needed idolize to finish the Boomer's quest line. But whatever. Jack hands me the rebreather, which I'm surprised to learn I can wear under the space helmet. Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, the space helmet itself should allow for underwater breathing. Before heading to the bomber, I stopped by Boulder City. Figured helping the NCR against the cons would give me some more NCR rep, so I helped. Not much to show or say here, other than Jessup becoming a laser light show spectacular. My rep doesn't change, however, so I go sulk in the lake and raise the bomber, completing the Boomer's questline for House later. Speaking of which, I decide now it's time to head to the fort and activate the Securitron vault. On the way, I bump into Sergeant Astor and think that retrieving the irradiated dog tags could give me some more NCR rep from Camp Searchlight, as I'm still being warned for it for being too low. But no, this quest is always bugged for me. One of the markers is always just hovering over this building for whatever reason, so I decided another course of action. By heading down and marking Cottonwood Cove, then returning to Astor, I can instead begin the quest Eye for an Eye to gather intel and then wipe the camp out. This will make the Legion hostile when going for the Securitron Vault, but we have no fear of them. When I get there, one of the Legion is waiting in the main building, so my attempts to sneakily plant the bug and gather intel fail, and open combat ensues. Severus is quickly deleted via VATS, and then the rest of the camp gets a mix of laser, dog bites, and lead from the three of us. Canyon Runner is the last to go, and his death also allows me to free the Weathers family from slavery. Some more good deeds. Handing the quest into Aster, and while I'm now soft-hearted devil, I also hit level 18. I keep forgetting to mention skill points, I know, but after I max out energy and science, I don't have anything else specific to put the points in, as when I tend to play Fallout casually, I tend to just spread points around rather than dump them in one particular skill. The perk this time around is Strong Back, by the way. But now the time is upon us to assault the fort and defeat the evil Kaiser Emperor Zurg. There aren't many Legion soldiers in the initial area, so no problems there. Laser has been set to kill for a long time. For slavers, they were never going to be spared. I like to think Buzz tried to play nice, but over time the wasteland jaded him into a vengeful bounty hunter. Kinda like Vaquero Woody over here. Honestly, I'm fighting through the Legion as a penance for those who didn't like me getting on the NCR's bad side, okay? With that in mind, please enjoy this clip of Kaisar and his retinue coming out of the tent and getting smited by the power of the Galactic Alliance.
Okay, I guess we're doing this.
For reference, I believe Woody claimed the kill on Caesar Zurg, and the remaining Praetorians were no match for my otherworldly tech. Entering the tent, I then also free Benny, as it's the right thing to do, and make my way into the vault and impress House by being there ahead of schedule. As for the chip, I noticed the game just gave it to me after the scuffle with Caesar. I didn't pick it up off his corpse or anything. Huh. Given what I had already fought through, the vault was never going to be tricky, but to make it simpler, I hacked the terminals and made all the security stand down, so now we can get to the Star Bouncy Fall, rolling on the main quest line. Heading back to the strip, and I remember I never passed the security check legally yet, so I do so as to not aggravate the TV guards. Out of curiosity, I stopped by Crocker as to see about handing in the first quest for the boomers and finally fixed my NCR rep, but I'm guessing I was just overthinking things, and I should have just talked to him right away, as talking to him is what reset my NCR rep. I always just assumed it reset when the messenger gave you the note to meet him outside Lucky 38. Regardless, I'm still working for House, for this reason alone.
Give me 20 years, and I'll reignite the high-technology development sectors. 50 years, and I'll have people in orbit. 100 years, and my colony ships will be heading for the stars to search for planets unpolluted by the wrath and folly of a bygone generation.
If I help him, I can serve to smooth relations between House and the Galactic Alliance in future. Anyway, one round trip to Nellis and back, and I can hand in both House and Crocker to the quest for double XP. Now getting aware of how long this playthrough is getting, and by proxy the end video, I decided to speed up the last couple of requests for House. First being Gomorrah, and I did consider investigating, but nah. I would say I can't disarm because the laser is in my arm, but honestly, I didn't think about that for later encounters. So much like the Legion, watch as the Emertas go boom. Buzz to me in the post-apocalypse is someone who shoots first and asks questions later, and is nobody gonna miss the Omertas, right? Side note, after the fight I went for repairs at the Mojave outpost, and here the NCR Radio Ranger decided to partially merge with Major Knight to give the radio to me. Questionable killing aside, the last group to deal with are much more straightforward. The Brotherhood of Steel must be wiped out for House's ending. I did think some of this through. Despite what I said earlier, I don't immediately open fire and agree to be collared and go to deal with Dobson. Only once I get to him, I instead tell him of the Brotherhood presence, and he reciprocates by taking off my bomb collar. This causes 4 paladins to spawn at the bunker entrance, who get to taste alien lasers as I still had plenty of ammo. That and Slinky's desires to make him his new chew toy. The alien blaster gets more use fighting through the main base, even if my companions are blocking the way. That said, I hacked the turrets to deal with the first floor. Only drawback from this is not getting the XP for those killed by said turrets. Second floor, and I love this moment of one paladin ducking, only for the one behind him to be hit in the helmet and explode, killing both of them. Not wanting the same to happen to me, I let Woody and Slinky deal with the Elder before obliterating Hardin, who put his helmet on way too late. Headscribe Taggart is never an issue fighting back, and with all the key cards are acquired, destroying the Brotherhood and wrapping up everything I could do now for House. Despite me earlier saying I wanted to wind down the length of playtime, I ignored that to scrounge up some more NCR rep. Being allowed to protect President Kimball seemed like the ideal heroic act to do. With that said, the Legion and Nelson were atomized, but I forgot to report this at Camp Forlorn Hope. Instead, I ventured down the road to this mine, however you say it, where some NCR prisoners are being held. Nothing to really go over, other than it did not provide enough NCR rep points when finished. Heading back to Camp McCarran, I can do more around the base, like interrogating the Legion prisoner. Oh. Oops. I believe the quest glitched and Boyd didn't re-enter to pull me off of it. Well, she must have been very upset with me as she didn't give me my weapons back. Thankfully, all I had to do was reload and approach her, and the game gave them back. No matter, I'll make it up to Colonel Shu by investigating leaked intelligence. Of course, we all know who's doing it, so rustling around in his pockets, I can get the activation code. Not stealing it for when it's for the greater good of preventing a bomb attack. Also, I can easily expose Sergeant Contreras for smuggling by hacking his terminal and giving its contents to Boyd. Listening in on Curtis, I can use the code from earlier to prevent the sabotage, finally giving me enough NCR rep to protect the President. Handing in my previous ventures to House, we're off to the dam. I remember to save before the quest this time, when out of the blue the NCR sergeant from the substation catches up with me. I believe he chased me around inside the dam and was stuck the entire time since my last visit. As for Malcolm, the last chaser, I never saw him for the rest of the run. Anyway, things don't go well. I was waiting in tower for the sniper, but when I attacked him, Woody must have gotten confused and began gunning down the real NCR sniper and then the crowd. I don't know for sure, but the game did tell me President Kimball died. So, did Woody just then assassinate the president? I'm not sure, as checking around in the aftermath, I didn't find his body, and the vertebra didn't take off, so somewhere, somehow, Kimball died. Anyway, I reload, and next attempt, I do everything the same, only letting the Legion sniper attack first. My guess as to what happened last time is the game considers the Legion sniper's part of the NCR faction for like a brief moment, and attacking him too early caused the other NCR NPCs to turn hostile? But this time Kimball is safe thanks to me, and we could finally get a move on with the final battle at the dam. Before reaching House, I did then hit level 22, which is notable for allowing me to take the final related perk, that being Laser Commander.
I can't believe I'm about to do this, boss. If I buy it out there, I want 12 mariachi bands playing at my funeral. Metal nice too.
I don't know about you, but Woody just has some of my favorite lines in this game. As for the dam itself, I can blast through it just as fast as the lasers leave the alien blaster. So rather than talk, let's just watch as the Legion are sent to infinity and beyond the grave. This also goes for the NCR guarding the control room, as I lack the people skills to make them leave. So much for that NCR rep, I suppose. When we make it to the fort, I've already shown previously Praetorians can't stand up, so they are brushed aside easily. As for Lanius, I was hoping to get a stealth attack on him to start the fight, but no. He charges me with his grenades to start, which is odd, but he stopped just as quickly by his head being crippled in vats, and then tries to start the retreat. I keep attacking the vats to guarantee headshots, which also slow him from getting away, eventually reducing him to ashes on the ground. I then remembered my space lasers, but fire way too late, and only succeeded at blowing off my legs and my Securitron backup. Oh well, both are replaceable. One last thing to do, and that's dealing with General Oliver. Flip-flopping one last time on how I'm treating the NCR, I convince Oliver to back down by telling him Vegas under House will share energy with the NCR. I then embrace Mr. House one last time, finishing the game and showing that yes, Buzz Lightyear can indeed beat Fallout New Vegas. Well, this certainly was interesting. At the end here, I can't say for future character runs, I do need to think a little bit more about them. Looking back in hindsight, I could say there are some situations that could have been handled differently for the roleplay. But I will also say this still was incredibly fun. Specific limitations like this open up interesting new ideas for future characters to play as, many of which I already have in my head and will get to. Heck, I believe I could do the same character run idea in Fallout 3 if that sounds interesting. It'll definitely be a lot harder, but it still could be fun. I think I'll make my next video for Fallout 3. Haven't done that game yet. If that does sound interesting to you, be sure to let me know in the comments below, along with you had enjoyed the video. Likes and subs are always appreciated, and with that, I've said everything I need to say, apart from a final goodbye.
We accomplished a lot together. It was fun. Take care.